Are we sitting comfortably? Are the lights turned down low, and the shadows lengthening in the room? Are the curtains closed, and are the doors locked? Good. Then let us begin.
Episode 2, The Ghosts of Oxney Bottom, Part 2. Continuing briefly here with the ghosts of the Dover to Deal Road at Oxney Bottom, we have a number of witnesses reporting seeing a masked highwayman dash across or gallop along the road on his horse in this area. It was probably the same highwayman which was seen by some American soldiers in the days running up to D-Day in 1944. The jeep they were driving ended up in the undergrowth as the driver swerved to avoid a horseman who had apparently appeared from nowhere, galloped across the road in front of them, and disappeared into the Oxney woodland. For this ghost there is perhaps an explanation. A highwayman, said to be the youngest son of a Deal innkeeper, took up as a highwayman on the highway through Oxney to rob the Dover coach at gunpoint. A discovery made at the new inn in Deal, which in spite of its name is an old building, identifies it as the inn in question. In 1965 this inn was being enlarged when a small compartment was found behind the fireplace. In this was discovered a black mask, a cloak, a tricorn hat, riding boots, and a brass-barrelled blunderbuss. However, this highwayman was caught by the authorities and hanged and gibbeted at Oxney Bottom sometime in the 18th century, as a warning to others against taking up the highwayman's trade. There are also a few but scant reports of a spectral coach which emerges from the road which was the Deal entrance to Oxney Manor, pulled by 4 horses, which speeds out onto the modern Dover to Deal Road and disappears. And now we move from the road to the woods. During the Second World War, the Home Guard had to patrol the woods in case of escape from the nearby prisoner of war camp. In 1942, an Italian POW did escape, but he was found soon after near to the chapel in Oxney Woodlands. He was dead. The official inquest to the death found that he had died from severe shock. Had he seen the ghost in Oxney? We will never know. Some teenage motorcyclists also went ghost hunting in the woodlands. It was a trip that one of them would never forget. He became separated from his companions late in the afternoon and saw, in the twilight that was descending, a strange figure approaching him slowly. It was a small child seated in a wheelchair, which was a foot off the ground, moving slowly past where he stood. The youth is reported to have fainted. More recent accounts of this creepy place have appeared in the Kent 51 Unexplained Phenomena Kent website. The first one, from a correspondent identified as Nathan, wrote about a friend's experience there. On Sunday the 30th of November 2003, his friend was out walking his dog and walked up to the gates of Oxney Bottom. The gates were locked, but he looked through and observed a figure with a horrible face looking at him, which then ran away. The second was from a correspondent identified as James, who wrote about a group's visit to the woods in Oxney, where one of the party had stayed behind in the chapel taking video footage. The others had ventured back to the main road and waited for about 10 minutes. And then their straggling friend came crashing through the woods, cursing and sweating. He alleged that he saw nothing but felt like he was being watched. A very strong, unnerving experience by a presence that was apparently hostile to intruders. James decided to go and investigate. He got to the church and waited for a while, then decided to go for a walk around the outside of the church. And it was in this area that he encountered the similar sense of being scrutinised by something or somebody. As he writes, "Whatever it was didn't like my being there. I swear it felt like something breathing on my neck." At this point, he too fled the area. Ian Redfern wrote to me on the 23rd of April 2004 about his experiences in Oxney Bottom. "If you venture into the woods, The first thing you may notice is that birds don't sing. There's just silence. There is an old chapel in the woods, abandoned since the Reformation. This has been the subject of satanic rituals, due to there being pentagrams painted on the walls and black wax littered around. Myself and others have visited here, and I had a rather odd experience. I was walking through Oxney Bottom one night, returning from Dover to Deal, when for no reason I felt heat, or a kind of electricity, surge up through my body. I tried to run, but it felt like I was running in a swimming pool and not getting very far.